You have to be willing to put out indie comics if you want to work in mainstream comics. Hi, my name is TS, and I write comic books all the time. I get paid to do it. I'm a paid comic book writer. My new comic book, The Digger, is coming out from Invader Comics. That's the publisher. You can pre-order it at your local comic book shop today. And I've had to fight tooth and nail to get this spot in indie comics, in the lower rungs of indie comics. Okay, this is my first comic book that's going to be widely distributed to comic book shops. And before that, I've put out dozens of other comic books. I've worked with other indie publishers, I've self published stuff, and I've had to fight tooth and nail to get there. I get paid to make comic books, but that's eclipsed by the amount of money, time, and effort that I've put into self publishing and doing smaller indie books. And I see a lot of people who want to start making comic books and want to break into mainstream, and they just want to hold out for that Marvel or DC gig and that huge page rate. And that's sadly not going to work out for them. It's sometimes it's who you know and it's luck, but a lot of it is showing that you have that portfolio, that resume of working in indie comics and showing that you have that love and passion to do it on your own dime. And I wish it wasn't like that. I know that that's a little bit unfair, and I know people deserve to get paid for their labor, but you have to prove to those gatekeepers and that audience that you're willing to do this before you're going to find a lot of success and high page rates. Maybe I'm wrong about this. What do I know? I'm just a dude working in indie comics. But in my experience, I've had to fight tooth and nail and spend a lot of money to make it to the point where I'm at right now, finally getting the chance to work with smaller publishers. I don't know if I'm ever going to make it to the mainstream. There's a lot of talent there. They don't necessarily need someone like me. And that's what I've seen. So if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. But I think that a lot of smaller creators and people who want to break into comics would have more luck if they tried their hand in indie comics instead of trying to jump the line and immediately hold out for that big gig. I think if you were just willing to put out books in the indie space and do what you can to do that, it's hard to do and it's expensive. But if you're willing to fight your way through the trenches with us other indie comic book creators, you'd find much more luck than holding out for that big gig.